Relax in the coaching lounge and engage with compelling, motivational speakers. Be prepared to transform your inner world, to shape your outer world through empowering discussions. Tune into the Coaching Lounge now.
You're tuned in to another episode of the Coaching Lounge with your host, Rebecca Gordon, lead life coach at satellitelifecoaching.com. Listen to interviews with creative thinkers, motivational speakers, models of success, and key people of influence. Tune in, relax, engage, and transform your life now.
Lorna Phillip spent 20 plus years supporting moms, dads and their children, coordinating family health services before becoming a doula. And since then, she's supported many births and she's developed a doula course and immersed herself in continuous professional development with particular techniques that can support women during their pregnancy and through giving birth. Now, I am going to say that this introduction doesn't actually do Lorna any justice at all, because there's so much more to this woman that we'll discover through this interview. So I'm actually just going to introduce Lorna into the Coaching Lounge and ask her to share a little bit more about her background, what brought her into the work of being a doula. Hello, Lorna. Good morning.
Hi, Rebecca.
Yes. How's it going today?
It's going very well, thank you, and thank you so much for inviting me on. I always take every opportunity to speak about doulas and spread the doula word, so thanks for having me here.
Superb. And it's an exciting morning for you, isn't it? Can you share a little bit more about that with the listeners?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's really exciting. So I'm currently on call for a birth. My birth client is just around 39 weeks.
Right.
And I had the call last night to say that her waters have gone. So
wow.
At any time now, I'll be shooting off to support her birth.
Okay. Now, when did the waters break last night? Because it's now, just to say to the listeners, it's 11 o'clock on a Monday morning. When did her waters break?
Yeah, so they broke around about 11:30 last night.
Wow, isn't that a long labour?
Not really, actually. I mean, it's a first baby anyway, so, things can take a little time. But she's perfectly safe. She's fine. She's been into hospital. She's had herself checked out and she's come home.
All right.
And all is well. So she can be like this now for, a good few hours yet. Nothing wrong with it at all. All is well.
Okay. It just brings to mind when I was actually having my fourth child, 1993 it was, and I was walking around Toys R Us, which is no longer there, in Oldbury, and didn't realise I was in labour. So I was sort of like bent over, wondered what this pain was about. And when I got home, got into the shower and the waters broke. So yes, it's, pregnancy is one of these things. We can still get on and do things and still give birth, normally, naturally and wonderfully.
Absolutely, there's no emergency. So she's just carrying on, she's having a rest, she's eating and drinking and waiting for birth to unfold.
Okay. Now, in my introduction, I did say that what I said about you, I don't believe it does enough justice at all, because you've actually been in this work for many, many, many years. Can you just tell me a bit about your life before becoming a doula, Lorna?
Yes, sure. First, I must correct you. So actually the doula course is not my doula course.
All right.
I'm only assisting with it, and I'm one of the mentors for the course. So but we'll touch on that later on in the year.
Superb.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as you said, I've always worked with children and families. Started my career as a nursery nurse, and that was back in the 80s.
Right.
And I used to work in nurseries and family centres, children's homes. And more recently, I worked for a Sure Start Children's Centre over in King's Standing, which I loved. So I was deputy manager, and I also coordinated the kind of health activities there, health services.
Right.
So we do things like baby massage courses, healthy eating in pregnancy, stop smoking in pregnancy services. And I loved it. But the one thing that I noticed week after week during the baby massage course, which I led, people would come back, these women would come back with their babies, and they would retell their birth stories over and over again. And I thought, well, what is it about birth? What is it about birth that A, people don't forget, and B, feel that they need to tell their story over and over again. And what I noticed was there was kind of a theme occurring, that women were saying that they were disappointed with their birth experience. They felt that they weren't supported enough through their pregnancy and birth. Mm-hmm. And it was then that I heard about doulas, and I kind of thought, well, that's interesting, and put it to one side. And it wasn't until maybe years later that the idea came back up into my head. And I thought, right, okay, now it's time to train to be a doula and offer the support that these women are lacking.
Okay. And why is a doula so important in the birth experience? I mean, you've spoken about the stories that people came back with. So what difference does the doula make?
Oh, gosh, a huge difference. And it's not just kind of anecdotal stuff that people say, yes, I had a better birth or a more satisfying birth experience with a doula. But, I mean, research has backed it up. So what they found is that having that continuity of care, having that one person that will support you through your pregnancy and also through your labour and birth and also after you've had your baby makes a huge difference. So, for example, there are less interventions for moms who've had a doula. So less forceps deliveries, less C-sections, in fact, less pain and discomfort, more likely to breastfeed if you've had a doula at your birth, better bonding, less postnatal depression, and the list goes on and on.
So it's sort of like the mind, body, the mother's mental state is... It's not to say that there's anything wrong with the mother's mental state, but it just makes it more comfortable for the mother. It's that transition from being not pregnant to carrying a baby, so they're able to actually manage that with the support of someone else.
Absolutely. Having that one person there all the way through. Because, when women go and have their antenatal appointments, they may see, one midwife at one appointment, another one at the next appointment. And as they go through their journey to having their baby, they'll see many midwives. And also at the birth, if birth goes on for longer than a 10-hour shift, for example, which they often do, you may have 2 or 3 midwives supporting you during your labour. But having that one continuous support all the way through makes a huge difference. It's
fantastic.
That one person.
Yeah, okay. So my first guest question comes from Michael. And Michael asks, what are the differences in approach of a doula and a midwife? That's a great question, isn't it?
Okay, so it was a brilliant question, absolutely. Yeah. So first of all, to say that actually as doulas, we all have our own approaches. We're not all the same. We've all got different experiences in life. We all bring different things to our doula service. So we're different anyway. But how we differ from a midwife is that a midwife provides the clinical care for you. So she'll be doing examinations, she'll be taking bloods. But we as doulas actually aren't clinicians. So our focus is really more of an emotional and practical support for mom and her partner.
Okay.
So things that we do, Rebecca, are things like we may kind of use our massage techniques during labour, for example. Mm-hmm. We may do hypnobirthing. So I'm a hypnobirthing doula. So I teach moms and their partners to relax very deeply for their births and during pregnancy. So they have a more calm and confident birth experience. And that's kind of the main difference between a midwife and a doula. So we don't offer any clinical care at all. We are not clinicians.
Right.
About, say, emotional and practical support.
Emotional and practical support, okay. And based on that then, who comes to you for support from a doula? Do you find it's more first-time people who are pregnant, mothers who are pregnant, or can it be mothers who've had other children in the past?
Oh, it's everything. It's all of that and more. So yes, I do have first timers, but actually, I find that I have more women who've already given birth previously.
Right. I suppose it's because they want a different experience, maybe.
Absolutely, yeah. So I've had teenage moms, I've had single moms, I've had moms with dad and mother-in-law in the birth room, the full spread.
Okay, okay. So how many people would you say you've supported over the time you've been doing this?
I've lost count, because I'm not only a birth doula, I'm also a postnatal doula. So I do attend births, but I also, once baby is here, I'll support parents during that period as well. So the very first few weeks of parenthood, which can be a little bit tricky. So maybe, parents are lacking sleep and feeling a bit frazzled. So I'll go in to their homes. And I'll support them during those early few weeks as well. So I've lost count as to how many parents I've supported. I don't keep count.
Okay. So I have a second question from Michael, which is, what one piece of important advice would a doula provide to prospective parents?
Oh, another fantastic question. Who's this Michael? He's brilliant. Okay, there's quite a few nuggets that I could share with you, but I think one of the most important things is, for a woman, whether she wants a doula or not, I think it's important that women gather around a supportive group of people. So whether that is just her partner, whether that's her partner and her relatives or friends, a woman needs support during labour. So she needs to know that people are on her side, have got her back, support her birth choices. So I would say the most important thing is to have those people around you that are going to be encouraging and supportive of your wishes, and who are not going to be judgmental.
Okay. Because it can be quite... the word that comes to my mind, certainly perhaps for first-time mothers giving birth, quite scary, would you say? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because, you just don't know. And, even though you can go to your antenatal classes, your NCT classes, as part of my role as a doula, I also prepare parents for birth. So I'll do a one-to-one antenatal class with them in their homes, and we'll go through birth physiology, what to expect. But there's no real language. There's no language out there to describe the experience of becoming a parent, of giving birth and labouring. So yes, we can talk about it can be uncomfortable, and I'll give them the tools to deal with that and manage that. But it's hard to put across in words what it actually means. So yes, it's the fear of the unknown sometimes. Okay?
And you mentioned, the woman you're supporting, and she's, in labour at the moment. Now, in terms of the people you support, what percentage have their births in hospital, and what percentage would you say have their births at home in, a natural environment?
Right, okay. So for my clients, I actually have very few home births. And this actually is going to be a home birth.
Right.
She just popped in to get herself checked out because her waters had gone. So she's gone back home, and all being well, she'll birth at home. Most of my women tend to give birth in hospital or a birth centre. And that's actually, again, fear of the unknown. If you've already given birth in hospital, I think you're more likely to choose a home birth. But for your first timers, sometimes the woman can be a little bit apprehensive about giving birth at home, but also her partner. It tends to be the partners who have a great influence on where women give birth, because they're saying, well, no, no way, we're going to have this baby at home. Has to be in the hospital, has to be surrounded by, your medical clinicians, and, they just feel very fearful about giving birth at home.
Right, I see. Okay. And, providing the support is there, it is a good experience because you're in your own environment, you've got everything around you.
Rebecca, I cannot state how much it really impacts birth. Birthing in your own environment, so long as you are safe, you have a nice home environment. So it hasn't got to be a mansion or anything. So long as you've got room to kind of roam around and change position, possibly put up a birth pool, for example, if that's what you'd like. You can't beat it, because again, science has shown that when you're comfortable, when you don't have fear, you're feeling loved, cared for, nurtured, that's when birth flows really well. So I encourage more people to actually explore that option.
I remember when I had my last child at home, and the other 3 children, they were outside, they could hear what was going on. So it was actually nice for them to come and see the newborn baby immediately.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, so that was special, not just for the parents, but for the children too, who were already there. And they actually, they're all grown adults now, they still talk about it, which is nice.
But that's great, because they then see that actually that's normal. So home birth is normalised in their life because, you gave birth at home, so that's wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, so you've actually touched on, you said the father-in-law in the room, the father in the room, mother-in-law in the room when you were mentioning support. Now, because a mother has that physical bond with the baby for 9 months, how do you support fathers with developing a bond with the baby during pregnancy?
Right, so I do encourage dads to actually attend the birth prep sessions that I offer. And also if I offer a hypnobirthing course, I'll try and get dad involved as well. And most dads are really keen to be involved, actually. And I then assign them roles for labour, because sometimes dads or partners aren't sure what they should do to help their partner during labour and birth. So I assign them roles like reminding their partner to go and empty her bladder on a regular basis.
Right.
I remind dads not to, take their cue from mom. So if mom is, if she's chatty and wants to chat and crack some jokes, then go along with it. But once she turns inside herself and starts getting very quiet, then to go along with that and follow her cue.
Because it must be difficult for fathers in terms of the changes in hormones and the balance there. It must be, fathers do need to go with the flow, don't they?
They do, and again, it can be difficult. So again, I remind them that anything that the woman says during her labour, not to take too personally, because once those hormones hit us and the contractions hit us, then we can say all kinds of things. Okay. I've had mum shout at me before, not very often, but I've had mum shout at me and grab the gas and air from my hands and stuff like that. I don't take it at all personally. It's cool, it's fine.
Right, okay. So we're sort of like halfway through this interview, so I'm going to ask a couple of more questions, and then we're going to take a quick break. Okay. Sure. Mm-hmm. So you sound like a busy woman, Lorna. You sound like you have a fair few amount of clients. So how many women do you work with on the go at any one time?
Right. Okay. So I'm very, very fortunate in I can kind of blend lots of things in. So I would only take two birth clients per month maximum.
Right, I see.
That's only if there's a decent gap between their due dates. What I don't want is that one starts kind of like waters break for one. At 11 o'clock at night, and then I get a call at 1 a.m. from somebody else saying, yes, my waters have gone as well. So I have to make sure there's a nice gap in between their expected due date.
Right.
But then I combine that work with the postnatal work, which I do days or nights. I sometimes stay over at clients' homes at night if they want some postnatal care. So I'll have baby for them whilst they get some sleep.
Oh. That's nice. That's important, isn't it?
It really is important. If your own if your own physical health and emotional health, when you're sleep deprived, everything can just seem so awful. And we don't want moms completely shattered and fatigued. So it's important that somebody does give them a break or supports them enough so they feel that they can get some rest.
Yeah, that's good. That's excellent. And so in terms of the service, who pays for the support and how affordable is it to have this important service, the work of a doula?
Sure. So it's actually the parents who pay for the service. I also offer gift vouchers. So if, for example, a woman is working and she has she's leaving for maternity leave and her colleagues want to buy her stuff, I say rather than them all buying you a baby grow each,
Right.
or kind of like putting in to buy, a big gift that you may not even use in the end. Why not consider your colleagues or your friends, family contributing towards the cost of a doula with gift vouchers?
Good idea.
Yeah, I also offer payment plans because I know not everyone has the money up front to pay fees. So I offer a monthly payment plan as well. Mm-hmm. So I try and make it as affordable as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this might be a good time to just share your website with the listeners.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So my website is Birmingham Doula. Doula is spelled DOULA. .co.uk.
Okay, so we are going to take a break now and come back with a final question from Michael. Okay. And we're going to then talk about the other support services you offer. You mentioned massage, and I know there's a few other special things that you do. So We'll talk about that after this quick announcement.
Brilliant.
Think big for a moment. If you could create your best life, how would this look? What if, in just 30 minutes, you had a plan of action to get closer to your dream? Make the impossible possible and claim your free session today. Visit www.satellitelifecoaching.com now.
If you're like me, you'll want to introduce your child to educational resources with images that represent their African worldview, nurtures their confidence, and advances their learning. What you want is a service that provides resources and worksheets to embrace your child's culture and empower their identity. If you are a parent or guardian who wants to homeschool or supplement the school experience, subscribe to Hika Online's low-cost, easy-to-access content that will keep your child entertained and wanting more. Help your young person celebrate their uniqueness and encourage them to succeed. Join hikaonline.co.uk today and get your educational resources with an African worldview.
You are tuned in to the Coaching Lounge. I am Rebecca Gordon, and I used to say I'm the coach at satellitelifecoaching.com. I am winding down my service, so although I will still be offering coaching to clients, anyone who wants to move their lives forward, it won't be as much as I used to. So I'm only taking on the odd client who's very motivated, who wants to drive forward to success in whatever area of life is important to them to make changes in. So you can still contact me on info@satellitelifecoaching.com. My website is all the W's, satellitelifecoaching.com. If you are a motivated client who wants to make changes in their life, I'm still taking on a client a month. So please be in touch if this resonates with you. And I have here with me in the Coaching Lounge, my other passion apart from coaching is podcasting. I love talking to different people about their expertise because I believe the people I speak to, I've done probably 60 episodes now. Each of the people I speak to, they're experts in their own right, and I believe they probably need more exposure, or more people need to hear about their important work so that they can be a part of it or find out more about what my guests talk about. And today I've got another important guest, Lorna Phillip, who is also known as Birmingham Doula, who offers an excellent service of supporting women through pregnancy and childbirth. So, Lorna, we are going to touch on some of the other support services that you offer in line with your doula work and hypnobirthing, postnatal doula work. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, the last question from Michael is: do doulas work with adopting parents?
Oh, yes, absolutely we do. Yes, we work with any kind of parent. So some people who are going through infertility struggles will ask us to support through IVF. We have some doulas, but most doulas, who will actually support adoptive parents. So long as it's a parent, so long as it's a birth, we support it. So absolutely.
And how many doulas are there in the UK?
Oh my goodness, it's a good question. There are loads of us, all over the UK, and of course all over the world. You know, it's an international thing. In Birmingham, we've got a fair few doulas, and we're increasing. I mentioned earlier on this course that's been written by a lovely doula in London called Mars Lord.
Is she the lady who won the award?
Yes, you saw that, right?
Yes, Mars Lord, her name is.
That's right, yeah. So she has written a course, because, you know, we've noticed actually as black doulas and doulas of colour, that the doula world and the birth world at large is actually quite white.
Right.
And we want to encourage more doulas of colour to actually train to become doulas. And Mars has written a course called Abuela Doulas, ABUELA Doulas. And so she's tried to encourage more women of colour to train to support women during their pregnancies and births.
Fantastic. We will touch on the next set of questions relating to that then, since we're on the topic.
Okay.
Because giving birth can be considered in African traditional societies as a spiritual experience. And, you know, the circle of support means that families and communities are involved.
Sure.
And that's natural and normal. So why is there such a lack of diversity in the birth world, would you say?
Do you know, I think it's because when a woman of colour maybe looks into becoming a doula, she may, you know, hop online and Google doula courses and doula organisations. And what pops up, Rebecca, is lots of images of white women and white families. And we don't see ourselves actually reflected in those images. So we may then go away and thinking, actually, you know what, this is not for me. Either there's no work for me as a black doula or doula of colour, or black women don't even have doulas, maybe, because that's what's out there in the media.
I see. Okay. So it's sort of like the work that Mars Lord and yourself and the other doulas does with this training is to redress that balance.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if after hearing this podcast, someone has an interest in becoming a doula, what's the first thing they can do?
Okay, I would suggest they hop onto the Abuela Doula website, and I'll give it to you now.
Yes.
So it's Abuela Doulas, that's ABUELA DOULAS.com.
Okay.
Have a look at the information there. Mars goes all around the country providing these doula courses.
Right.
Have a look at the info. We can send you out a course guide as well, so you can see what's actually entailed in the doula course. Or give us a call. You know, I'm quite happy. I've met up with people who are thinking about training, and we'll meet for coffee and just kind of talk over, you know, what it is to be a doula and doula life. And I'm happy to do that as well.
That sounds fantastic, Lorna. Excellent. Okay. So I mentioned in your introduction that you've immersed yourself in continuous professional development. And my reason for saying that is because looking at your website, I can see you have a lot of added value in what you do, Lorna. So can you share with me something about... let's start off with the Bencong... Is it Bencong belly wrap?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I was a bit apprehensive about saying that.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you. So please share with us what that is and how that can benefit new moms, please.
So Bencong belly wrapping. It's actually a technique that's come from Malaysia. Though there are different techniques from all around the world. And in fact, one of my Gambian friends says that her mom wrapped her belly in a very different way, using a very different technique. But the benefit that it has for new moms is that once they've had their babies, it helps their tummies to come down quicker. It helps the uterus to shrink down quicker. It also helps the bleed that you have after you've had your baby. It helps the bleed to decrease quicker as well.
Okay.
It's a very supportive garment. It's not meant to be tight or restrictive, because it's not very nice for a mum who's just gone through labour to be tied up in a straitjacket. It's a very supportive garment that you can actually move about in. So I'd use a very long piece of fabric that will start at the hips, and it will go all the way up until under the bust line, basically. So it helps not only support the uterus, it helps to support your lower back as well. Right. A lot of moms do complain about backache after giving birth, and B, in those first few weeks of having a baby, because you're always stooping, bending over. Yeah. If you're breastfeeding, you may have quite a poor posture and hunching over. So this wrap actually helps to support and encourage a good posture as well.
That's brilliant. You know, I wish I'd known about that one after I had my first child.
Me too.
Yeah, because, you know, with the first child I actually had a cesarean. Right. And that was actually quite a traumatic experience, because I was only 19 at the time when I had her. Mm-hmm. And because of having the cesarean, I wasn't mobile enough. Right. And I put on an awful lot of weight. Sure. I found it hard to shift, you know, the belly there. Yes. And it stayed with me ever since.
Join the club.
Yeah. So it's just that these things make a difference, doesn't it? And it's not just while you're pregnant, but after, you know, like getting your body, you know, everything shifting back into place internally as well.
Because things have moved around a lot, you know, yes. To accommodate this growing baby. Yeah. I mean, there are techniques also to wrap tummies, but in a looser fashion, actually, whilst you are pregnant, just to help support the tummy, because you can feel a bit heavy towards the end of your pregnancy. So there are techniques also to wrap a tummy, but not in a tight way. You need, obviously, baby needs to move and freely. But yes, these techniques come from all over the world, and they're just fantastic. So we're bringing them back.
Yes, and the next one that's on your website is Mizan therapy?
That's right. Yeah, Mizan therapy, absolutely. Okay. So Mizan therapy is again, it's a therapy for all women. Mm-hmm. So whether you have a womb, have had a womb, it's for you. And the kind of things that people come to me with, the kind of complaints and conditions they come to me with are things like fibroids, again, a thing that really greatly affects black women, ovarian cysts, heavy menstruation, heavy bleeding, painful bleeding each month, or lack of a period each month. And so what Mizan therapy does, we actually massage the womb. And it's an external massage just to put your mind at ease. Mm-hmm. So we're using strokes across the abdomen to help bring balance back, help to balance the womb, first of all, because oftentimes our wombs are a little bit wonky, a bit displaced. And you know, even the Egyptians talked about the wandering womb and it being a bit of a basis for lots of different illnesses and conditions in women.
I see.
Yeah, so we're seeking to bring the womb back into its optimal position with the massage. We also use a number of herbs as well. So we talk about or encourage women to do vaginal steaming. I can say vaginal.
Yes, you can, yeah. Otherwise, also known as, is it douche?
So, no. Oh, goodness.
No. Okay. What's the difference then?
Never douche. So douching, oh my goodness, very American douching. Douching is actually introducing, you know, these kind of chemicals into the vagina with water.
Oh, I see. Well, there you go. I've not done it, never done it before, so I don't know about it.
Yeah. I would never, ever recommend douching at all. So vaginal steaming is using a blend of herbs that have been blended by your Mizan therapist for you, whatever your condition is. Right. You would then put those into a bowl and pour on boiling water. And you would basically sit over that herbs and boiling water and steam. And it's not for, people assume it's for cleansing the vagina. It's not about cleansing the vagina. It's actually about using the oils from those herbs to help stimulate the uterus.
I see. Okay. So this is for after pregnancy.
So yes, this must never, ever be done if you are pregnant, or even if you suspect you're pregnant. You must never, ever use the steaming technique during pregnancy. This is for after pregnancy, but also for as a monthly thing you could do for yourself, as a monthly self-care technique, so long as you're not pregnant, you can actually do for yourself. And it actually does encourage, so people who don't have good periods, so have quite scanty or very painful periods, this can actually help to right that.
So you mentioned particular herbs depending on particular situations. Could you just give a herb is useful for?
Yeah, so I can give you like a generic mix. So for every woman, it's quite helpful. So things like a mix of dried lavender, red rose petals, marigold maybe, and some chamomile.
And what would that be helpful for?
So this is just a general cleanse and just a general kind of nurturing blend for women. But you must make sure that when you do get the herbs, it's best to get organic herbs, and you must make sure they're not herbs that have things sprayed on them. So, for example, you might have like potpourri for your lounge or something.
Yeah.
Make sure it's not been sprayed with artificial kind of perfumes.
Yeah.
Got to be the pure herbs.
Yeah. So the suggestion then is to most definitely work with a doula to ensure you're getting the correct herbs and the correct blends.
Work with a mesantherapist.
A mesantherapist. Yes.
Yeah. So come and see or get a consultation from a mesantherapist, who will then blend the herbs for you or advise you on what herbs that you can blend for yourself.
Superb. Great. That's totally new information for me, so thank you for sharing that.
That's okay.
Yeah, and also I'm quite interested in hypnobirthing.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So hypnobirthing, as I said, people kind of assume it's something quite out there and a bit off the wall and wacky. It's not. It's all backed up by science. And I offer a 4-week course to the mum and also to her partner if he or she is around. And it's about teaching the woman to relax very deeply during her pregnancy. So using techniques like breathing techniques, using visualizations, using relaxation scripts that she can listen to. Affirmations, all stuff that's really lovely and nurturing, and actually very simple tools that have a great impact on your pregnancy and your birth. It's about adopting that very positive mindset. And also as part of the hypnobirthing course, it's actually combined with an antenatal course as well. So you're getting a whole antenatal course, plus learning how to relax very deeply for your birth. It's an all-in-one. It's fantastic, and it works so well.
I was just thinking, Lorna, I'd love to be pregnant again to have you as my doula. But actually,
okay, go for it, girl.
Well, no, I'm beyond the age now. Actually, my next guest is someone who actually is expert in the menopause. So sort of like we're looking at this series, looking at the two extremes of the life cycle. So she'll be on the show the next episode.
I will listen in because mesantherapy. We also use mesantherapy for menopause as well. So I'll be listening in.
Okay, great. So if any guests do have any listeners. If any listeners do have any questions they'd like to ask about the menopause, please send them to info@satellitelifecoaching.com. Now, I think you do know Elsie Gale.
Oh, yes. Gorgeous, the most wonderful midwife. Yes, I do.
Wonderful Elsie Gale. Yeah, great woman. She actually came onto the coaching lounge, I think it was in 2014, and she spoke about the life force. The energy. So because she's a midwife, I distinctly remember she was just talking about the beauty of knowing that, you've got this child inside and the child comes out and it's a human being. Yeah. So in terms of the births that you've supported, are there any that jump out to you as being special, being spiritual, being amazing, and for any particular reason?
Do you know what, Rebecca? I can honestly say that every single birth has been different, and every single birth has been special for its own reason. I always take something away to remember a woman by, and everyone has something very, very special. It's always a learning as well, even though I've been a doula for a while now, I'm always learning. Every birth teaches me something.
Okay.
So I can't pick out one. Honestly,
Right.
they've all been great.
Yeah, that's understandable, and that, you know, I hold that answer, because yes, I can imagine they're all unique. So, have you worked with women who have had multiple, is it multiple births when they've had twins and so forth? Is that what term
Sure.
is?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Multiples. So actually, I haven't yet. I had an inquiry. Oh goodness, about 2 months ago for a twin mum.
Okay.
And I thought, oh, brilliant! At last, I'm going to see a twin birth. I was like so excited.
Yeah.
And I actually think it was a bit of a hoax.
Oh.
we do as doulas, we do sometimes get people, for whatever reason, it could be emotional reasons, mental health reasons. It could have been a mom who'd actually experienced a loss previously, a pregnancy loss.
Yeah.
And it was just a very strange inquiry, and it unfolded very strangely. So,
well, leading on to pregnancy loss. You've worked with women who've experienced that?
Yes, I have. So women have come to me when they've had previous pregnancy loss and have said they wanted someone to really nurture them through this pregnancy, because, when you become pregnant after a loss, it can be for some women quite a bittersweet experience. You're excited for this new life that's growing inside of you, but yet you still have that loss on your mind. So it's almost like you're too scared to become really excited because you don't know what's going to happen this time round.
Right, okay. And it's great, again, to have that service there, because you can imagine the mother just wants to make sure that everything goes okay, on this occasion. So, just having the support there. Absolutely.
And I do offer a special package for women who've experienced a loss previously. So I, normally when women engage me, I might see them 2 or 3 times during their pregnancy to prepare them. Right. But if you've experienced a loss, I've put on my website that I'm more than happy to see you more often than that.
Okay.
But no extra charge at all, just to kind of nurture through that period.
Right. Okay, great. So, Lorna, we've got one more question. And after that, we're going to go through the quick fire round. Okay.
Oh, gosh. You didn't tell me about that.
Well, that's why I'm sort of like introducing it gently for you.
Okay.
So the final question before the quick fire round is, what are 3 top tips you would give to a new mom, Lorna? Okay,
so what, baby's already here, you'd say, or a pregnant woman?
That's a really good question. Let's go for pick and mix. Okay, 2 for pregnancy and 1 baby's already here.
Okay, all right. So for 2 for pregnancy is keep well. Make sure you are nourishing yourself well, and make sure you actually explore your options. Just because her round the corner birthed at this hospital doesn't mean you have to. Explore your options. You do have options, and make sure you keep healthy during your pregnancy. So that's those 2.
Perfect.
And 1 for when you've had your baby is ask for help. Demand help from whoever's around you, whether you engage a doula or not. Demand support.
Very good. That's a really good answer. And I'm saying that as a grandmother to 2 lovely grandchildren, 1 being 3 and the other being 4 months. And I know it's different when you've already, you've got a new baby, but you've got 1 to look after as well. So the help is needed there. So touching on that, introducing a new baby to the family, to another child who's been the only child for a while.
Yes.
How do you find that works out in terms of the support you've given parents?
Okay, so parents often ask me that question, actually, second timers, and I say, don't wait until baby pops out. Start talking in a very positive way about this new baby during your pregnancy with your toddler or your small child. Think about buying maybe a doll that little baby, that toddler can look after. So that when baby does come and you're a little bit preoccupied with nappy changing and feeding, your older child has a little doll maybe to play with and to kind of role model and copy you with. Give them little tasks, Sometimes I say, well, get them involved in the care of the baby. Maybe get them to kind of fetch nappies for you, or to kind of just so they feel involved and not pushed out.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm here in the coaching lounge with Lorna Phillip, who is also known as Birmingham Doula, who's given tons of excellent information and suggestions and advice on pregnancy and childbirth. And what we are going to do now, Lorna, is going to do the quick fire round. Are you ready?
I'm not sure I am, but go on.
Okay. First question is, what was the last book you read?
Oh my gosh, book. Oh God. I'm an audiobook person. That sounds really late, doesn't it?
No. Tell me then. What's the last audiobook you've been listening to?
Okay, you know what? It's on my phone now. I'm just going to bring it up.
Certainly.
And the title is The Secret Child.
Ooh, tell me more.
By Kerry Fisher, and it's rubbish.
Oh dear. What's it about, Lorna?
It's about a mom who gave up her child. So she was, I think she was a teenage mom back in the 60s, and one of those kind of convent type stories, and had to give her child up to the nuns, and the child got adopted. Now the child is coming back, and I'm not feeling it, Rebecca, to be honest.
All right. So tell me a book that you've read that stands out for you.
Tell you what came up recently. A friend of mine said they were going to see Things Fall Apart.
Oh, yes.
At the theatre. And I read that. I did a degree in English and Education Studies. And I did that as part of my degree course, and also went to see it at a theatre in Derby. And it just kind of brought up memories of the book. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to dig it out and I'm going to read it again because I enjoyed it that much. So
just if I'm correct, Things Fall Apart is from the African Writers series. And
that's right.
Emecha?
I can never pronounce the name. Akabi, Chinua Akabi. My pronunciation is terrible, so that might be.
Okay, Things Fall Apart, excellent. A classic book, isn't it?
It is, very much so, of the African canon. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yes, perfect. Okay, and what's your word for 2018?
My word is live my life. I'm just making changes in my life and trying to be happier.
Yeah. I resonate with that because as I've reduced my coaching now, I've taken up sewing again, and I'm on my 4th project now, and I really, it brings me into the zone, into the moment, into the present, and it's nice to create. So yes, I share that. So, are you a hammer or a nail?
Oh crumbs! I think I'm a bit of both, actually.
Okay.
In different situations.
Great. Different situations. What makes you a hammer?
I can be quite determined at times, and I will, for example, there's sometimes I'm a bit of a technophobe.
Right.
But there are things that I need to do on my website, and I'm very much, this is my website, I will do it. And I can be very determined, and I can sit up until like 3 a.m. trying to do one thing. So I think that can make me a bit of a hammer. I will keep going on and quite relentlessly until I've achieved it.
Well, let me just say congratulations, because your website is amazing. It's really, really good.
Well, I had a great designer. I mean, she designed it for me, but I do the upkeep and I do all the updates and things. And I learn how to do things that she's done. So, yeah.
Excellent. Okay. And what makes you a nail?
Makes me a nail. I can sometimes be a little passive at times when I want to be. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
You see, but there's skill in that, like hammer or nail, because it means that, especially in the work you do, you've got to be flexible in different situations. So,
definitely so. And in fact, actually bringing it to my birth work, in that, so, you have to be quite humble, actually. This is not a job where you're the big I am. It's the woman who's doing the work. So it's quite a humbling experience, massaging somebody's feet and, during birth, and make sure that things are very smooth in the birth room between, various people. So, it's quite humbling.
Yeah, excellent. Okay. And Lorna, who inspires you?
Who inspires me? I would have to say my late mother really, really inspired me. She was a great woman, great mother, great wife, very giving, but also very strong, had a great work ethic, and she was just different. I mean, back then in the kind of like early 70s and like mid 70s, I've got photos of me and her at judo. I mean, did you know?
Wow, really?
Whose mom went to judo with them in the 70s?
So hold on, let's just give big accolades to your mother. What's her name?
Phyllis Chambers. She passed away some years.
Yes, but still here in spirit. So Phyllis Chambers, wonderful
Phyllis
mother.
Chambers.
Brought up an amazing daughter who's doing great work herself.
Thank you.
Okay, great. And what's next for you, Lorna?
What's next for me? What I want to do, Rebecca, I want to offer more of the misantherapy to women. What I've noticed is it's doing great things. I mean, I've had people come to me with fertility problems and in, months down the line, pregnancy. I want more black women to take up the therapy, because I said, we have a lot of kind of fibroid issues. And I'm now trying to get the word out to more black women to encourage them to take better care of themselves, to really kind of look at the self-care techniques out there and really, take time. We work hard. We work hard. We face so many challenges at home and in the workplace sometimes. And it's like, you know what? We need to now start kind of focusing on ourselves and our own health and looking after ourselves. So I want to encourage more women to really start looking at things like, misantherapy or other therapies that may help.
Yeah. So, Lorna, I mean, just for the record, for the listeners, you're based in Birmingham in the West Midlands.
I am, yes.
Will you be having any group awareness sessions about misantherapy for women to attend?
Well, actually, yes. I've been in touch with the Nation of Islam recently, the Sister Circle, and I'm hoping that sometime in June that I will be presenting a workshop on womb health and misantherapy, but that's not kind of confirmed as yet.
That's okay. I mean, if you can share those details with me, I certainly will get them out as well.
Okay.
Yes. And in terms of contacting you, because this show does go out to an international worldwide audience.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So do you offer any online support at all?
Not at the moment. I mean, there's possibly some plans to do some hypnobirthing online, so where I can't get to you or you can't get to me. It's certainly possible to offer some hypnobirthing online, so that's a possibility maybe.
Or if anybody's got questions about pregnancy and birthing.
Sure. Yeah. So, just to make it clear that I cannot give any advice about your clinical care. So I'm not a midwife. I'd have to refer you back to your midwife. And in fact, a large part of being a doula is actually signposting parents to the appropriate service.
Right.
So I can't comment on your kind of your health conditions in pregnancy, but I can certainly point you in the right direction of somebody who could help you.
Yeah. In terms of, you're not a medical practitioner, as you've said, so you've qualified that. Thank you very much. But maybe in terms of emotional support or informational signposting, as you say.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Lorna, I've thoroughly enjoyed this interview. I've learned a tremendous amount. Looking forward to attending your misantherapy workshop. So please do send me details. And if you can share your website again one more time.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah. So if you want to get in touch with me, it's Birmingham Doula, doula.co.uk, or you can find me on Instagram. And I'm at Birmingham Doula, all one word, or on Facebook at Birmingham Doula.
Perfect. And what last words do you have for our listeners, Lorna?
Okay, so if anybody out there who's either thinking of getting pregnant, starting a family, or is pregnant already, please do your own research. Don't just give yourself over to the professionals, as it were. You wouldn't do that if you were planning a wedding, for example. You'd kind of check out your venue, you'd check out your wedding planner. You do your research. Birth is more important than that. So please, people, it's really important. Get out there and research your options.
Superb. Lorna Phillip, Birmingham Doula, thank you so much for spending time with me in the Coaching Lounge.
I had a great time. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you for tuning into the Coaching Lounge. Join us next time for more insightful interviews with inspiring guests. You can hear previous shows on SoundCloud by searching for Satellite Life Coaching. We're always interested to hear your feedback and topic suggestions, so don't hesitate to email us on info@satellitelifecoaching.com.